Good morning, Philadelphia. Thanks for joining us at Race on Main. We have a really fabulous show today.
Another really fabulous show with Michelle Miller.
Michelle Miller and Greg Burton from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Philadelphia. They are going to be here to talk about, one, how you can become a mentor and a volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters, which they are in desperate need of, along with Fashion Touchdown, which is one of their fundraisers for the year with the Eagles. So stay tuned. We have a great show.
As well as Scott's cell phone.
Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another edition of Race on Main. For all of our past episodes, you go to raceonmain.com, check them all out. There's great information out there. We have a really interesting, great guest today. We have two folks down from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Philadelphia who are going to talk about that program, this initiative that's been here in the city for over 100 years, and how you all might be able to help them satisfy that mission, help a lot of kids in the area. So we're going to get to them in just a minute. And I have to apologize if I'm a little distracted. I'm a little distracted by Stu's socks is the problem. So as they're just so
bright,
blue and bright, it's like glaring in my eyes. So I just
Can you get a shot at the sock?
They're fancy, I suppose,
look at that.
You can all see the blue. Yeah, it's like
Back
the
to blue.
color it's like a color of a planet.
Get behind the blue.
Yeah, I suppose. So anyway, Stu, we have another
Scott.
great show. We're gonna get right to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah, normally in this spot we talk about what Main Street's do. Actually, normally in the spot we talk about the weather,
right?
But and it's the weather has finally turned, so that's good. It's I don't have to go to bed and sweat myself to death.
Right.
But Main Street is talking about, and Main Street here in Philadelphia is talking about this new quarterback.
Yeah.
We're at this point in the season we're at 3-0. Just having demolished the Steelers on national television. So yay for the Eagles. And coming on a bye week, and hopefully that'll lead us to bigger and better things in the sports world here in Philadelphia, which makes, I know, a lot of people very happy.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. We actually were not at the game this past weekend, in sort of end of September, but we didn't go to the game, but we were invited to a pretty large tailgate.
A tailgate, yeah. So.
And
it's the first time I ever did that. Went to a tailgate
and then
didn't go and went home.
Yeah. It's not a bad way to do it. So for anybody who's out there watching, it's
a
lot of fun
kind
to
of
be
cool.
a part of things.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to deal with the traffic.
Yeah, you get on. You go home. I mean, I was. You tape the game, and you're home in time for the second quarter, and you run it back, and it's all good.
Yeah, it was really kind of fun, but it was like from a standpoint of the revenue that comes into the city, from a business standpoint, which is huge. It's really great to see so many people out there enjoying the game. We talked about it. That yes, it's for a lot of people a big commitment, but it is only 8 days out of the year for that. So it's
if you think about it, I mean, this city, erupts on the grounds of Lincoln Financial Field for like a day,
right?
And then it goes away, and then it comes back, 2 weeks later,
right? And
it does it 8 times during the course of the year. I think it's a couple more times if you have a couple of playoff games, which obviously you're hoping for.
Sure.
But it's a wonderful, it's a really wonderful thing, and it seemed like. You look around, you see families, you see kids.
Right.
It's safe, it's fun.
There's a lot going on.
And there's a lot going on, yes, so, it's all right.
So instead of getting into more chit-chat about that, we're going to bring out, just as soon as we can, Michelle Miller and Greg Burton from Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Philadelphia. They have a lot of great stuff to talk about, so we'll be speaking with them in just a moment. Welcome back, Philadelphia, and thank you for joining us at Race on Main. Don't forget, you can check out all of our past episodes at raceonmain.com. We have, like I had mentioned before, terrific guests, Michelle Miller and Greg Burton from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Philadelphia. It's actually the Independence region. They're here. Welcome, both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here. So I know that unless you've been living under a stone, I can't imagine anybody doesn't know Big Brothers Big Sisters. And it's been here for, I think you said, over 100 years.
Yes.
So you guys have a vast history. So tell us, like, in like 10 or 15 words, what is the main mission of the organization,
Right.
in terms of how and what it's trying to do to help kids in the area?
Absolutely. So we work primarily with disadvantaged kids throughout the greater Philadelphia area. That's southeastern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey. And as you said, over 100 years, the formula is very simple. It's one-to-one mentoring. And so we provide these kids with professionally supported one-to-one mentoring relationships. And the mission is to change their lives for the better forever. Now, a lot of the kids that come into our program or that are active with our programs usually are facing circumstances that you and I maybe didn't grow up with. A lot of them come from single parent families. Some of them have one or more parents that are incarcerated. They are subject to educational inequality, youth violence, gangs, drugs. And what we do is we pair them with caring and compassionate adult mentors. And it is amazing. This simple formula works every time just by befriending a kid and listening to them. It makes a total transformation. And so that's what we're dedicated to, and we have been since 1915.
Wow, it's incredible. It's terrific work that you do. You mentioned something that I want to kind of jump on just so we don't overlook it. You mentioned mentoring, mentors. I know that you need mentors, and that's probably something that you're constantly on the lookout for. Capable, good people who want to be mentors to these kids. I'm assuming that's the truth, that you're always on the lookout.
That's absolutely true. If you look at the statistics in our area, there's probably close to 300,000 kids living at or below the poverty level. And so what we try to do is we interact with parents or guardians who bring children like that to our organization and are looking for mentors. But I tell you right now, we have over 1,200 kids on our waiting list for their parents or their guardian have brought them to us, said, I really like a positive role model in my child's life. And we don't have the volunteers to help meet that need. And so out of that 1,200, I'd say probably about 800 are boys. So we always have a huge need for male mentors to step up and volunteer. It's amazing. Like, women will always volunteer. We'll have a room full of potential volunteers. The women always raise their hand, but for some reason the men are reluctant. And so if we had to say that we were looking for one thing, it'd be male mentors to step up and help some of these kids out.
What's the process? What's the commitment for a mentor?
Well, the first process is we begin with an info session. We really like to make sure that people are fully informed of what the commitment is. The easiest way to break down the commitment, should you be approved with all of our child safety measures, it comes down to like 2 to 4 hours a month. That's a couple different outings with that child that you're matched with. People often ask, like, what could just a few hours a month really do in the life of a child? And I think that the impact is unbelievable. I think there are things in our lives that we all take for granted every day that we don't think of as being something that could plant a seed for a child, but some of these kids don't have the opportunity to leave their neighborhoods. Simply being exposed to your office building, or going to get ice cream, or getting to go to a sporting game, or even walking through Center City is something that we might do every day and not think twice about, but could be really impactful for these kids. So even 4 hours of that invested one-on-one time is absolutely life-changing.
That's amazing to me, because I would never, you talk about a grown-up, a responsible person coming in as a mentor. That's not that. It's impactful. I get that, but I mean, it's not like you're asking them to give up 15 hours a week, in order to, be involved with this, which would probably be very, very difficult for a lot of people. So
I think that's a common misperception.
Yeah.
People think it takes a lot of their time, but we like to say you don't have to change your life to change the life of a child. And so 2 to 4 hours a week, 2 to 4 times a month is not a huge stretch for anyone. And the great thing about Big Brothers Big Sisters, we provide tons of match activities for the match relationships to do together, whether that's through partners with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Phillies, whatever, museums throughout the city, ice skating rinks, pretty much you name it, there's some way for us to provide things for them to do.
Yeah, that's great. Volunteers. So if anybody's out there watching,
Yeah.
it's certainly something. At the very least, get some information about
And it's
it.
local.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And it's local,
you're,
right.
You're
Local.
helping your local community all at the same time.
You're helping your local community, and we hear all the time that usually the volunteers feel they get more out of it than the actual children they're mentoring. I mean, they learn about issues that are impacting these kids that they weren't that close to. And I think it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and the volunteers rave about it. They really do.
I have one quick question about
I have
it.
a question also.
Yeah, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Fashion Touchdown program that you
Yeah.
guys have coming. It's November 7th, right? November
Correct.
7th. Fashion Touchdown to help raise awareness
Yeah.
and some funds. There's going to be a great event with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And for any information, you can go to fashiontouchdown.org. All the details are there for anybody watching to take a look at. But before we get to that, the question that I have about the mentoring is that, let's say you're mentoring a child. Does the child ever sort of graduate from the program, or do you work, let's say it's a good relationship, mentor to child, like it's working. Is it the kind of thing that sort of just continues to go on and on and on, or do they ever like sort of graduate out of the program and a new child comes in? How does that work?
That is an excellent question. So typically we serve children from the ages of 7 to 18, right? And so they could be introduced to a mentor anytime up to probably by the age of 14 or 15. Generally, the commitment is 1 year to mentor a child. If the relationship is going really well, it's not uncommon for that relationship to last 3 or 4 or 5 years. I mean, we have matches that have lasted even longer than that. Once they turn 18, they technically graduate out of the program, but we have stories of matches that have been together for 30 years or more.
Wow.
I mean, when we had our 100-year anniversary, we were trying to connect with mentors in the area and get some, really emotional, impactful stories. And we bumped into, there's a gentleman who lived in the area. He was in his 90s, and he had lost track of his little brother, like in the 50s. And so he had discovered the internet, and he said, I wonder if I can find this guy somewhere. So he did his search, found the guy in California, and called him up and said, this is your big brother, and the two of them reconnected. And so
Wow.
his little brother was 79 years old. And we filmed them coming back together. It was awesome.
That's
I-
fantastic.
That's wonderful.
I actually had lunch with someone today, Joe Marone, who has Marone Law Firm, and he became a big brother when he was in law school. He didn't think he really had the time, but he went ahead and did it and mentored this 11-year-old boy who is now a lawyer in his law firm. So this is
Wow.
like 27 years later. This young man was in Joe's wedding, is a part of his family now. So that just like really speaks to some of the lifelong friendships that happen. And obviously this young man with exposure to Joe has now gone on to become a successful lawyer himself, which is
Wow.
our whole goal is to see these
Is there
kids
any
find
outlet
that.
for I mean, I'm thinking book deal. There's a book in there somewhere of
We gotta
not,
call
not
Jeff.
necessarily the Marone, well, all the anecdotes of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this kind of thing. I mean, it's so heartwarming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we try to, we're trying to do a much better job of storytelling. And so we've captured a lot of these stories on our website, via YouTube. We have, some videos that really tell the stories of these relationships.
What's your website?
Our website, our organizational website is independencebigs.org.
It's great. So independencebigs.org, and then obviously that's a little bit different than fashiontouchdown.org that has specific information about that.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about
Good
the
segue.
program, about Fashion Touchdown. I'm a professional.
excellent
You're like a pro.
Yeah,
I'm not doing anything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're doing great.
Even with my sock distraction of
Yeah.
Stu, I can still pull this off.
All right, so tell us about the.
So tell us a little bit about Fashion Touchdown. I've heard a little bit
Oh,
about
yeah.
it, but tell everybody so they can get an idea as to what's going on.
Sure. Fashion Touchdown is a annual fundraiser that we do with several Philadelphia Eagles players. The event was started by Zarwin Baum Law Firm, and they graciously picked us as the benefiting organization, and from then the partnership's really grown and the event itself has grown. So the concept is that we get some top Eagles players and their wives or significant others to walk the runway for us in a evening fundraiser. So This year we've partnered with Philadelphia Style Magazine, and then Nicole Miller of Philadelphia will be dressing all of the wives and some additional models. And then Robini Bespoke is making bespoke suits for all the players.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So they'll be hitting the runway on November 7th, helping us raise critical funds. So as we mentioned, you know, we do extensive background checks on everyone that applies to be a little. Each match has a special match support specialist that is really staying in contact with the parent and the student and the child and the big. So, you know, people don't always realize that it's essential for us to raise money to support and ensure the safety of the work that we do. So events like these are critical for us to raise money and awareness and also have a good time.
So people can, just real quick, people can go to the website, order tickets.
Correct.
It's open to anybody who wants to who wants to come out.
Yeah.
They'll get a chance to meet some of the Eagles,
Yes, absolutely.
hang out with them. There's food and a bar and all the normal
All
sort
that
of party type atmosphere.
Where?
sure.
Where's it taking place?
It's gonna be at the ballroom at the Bend, which has just been newly renovated, and
It's beautiful.
it's become a signature event for us. It's super fun. Alex Hawley and Mike Jarek of Fox 29 Good Day Philadelphia will be emceeing and hosting the event. This is their third time doing it, and so they're
Great.
they're really this year. I think they said, "Aren't you going to invite us back to do this show?" So, I mean, they're really into it. It's a lot of fun. You do get to get up and close and personal with the players, and actually this year we have a couple of the matches in our program walking the runway and
nice.
tell their story. So I think it's going to be a great event.
And how many people do you typically, show up for it? It sounds like
it's up to everyone in TV land. But we're hoping to get between 300 and 500. I think that would be the perfect number. We also have a VIP cocktail reception, which is capped at 200. And that's where VIP guests and sponsors will get to actually mix and mingle with the players themselves in like a nice cocktail atmosphere. It's really intimate and a great way to spend a little FaceTime. It's not like that normal fan football player interaction. It's a great time to have a real conversation with some of the guys you see on the field every Sunday.
Right. So if you're not as interested as the organization, but hugely interested in the Eagles. Hey, look,
We'll take your money
the
either
funds
way.
are important. So you get the opportunity to sit down and you're right, a very, very tight environment, get to sit and hang out and discover some new things about some of your favorite players.
Absolutely.
For sure.
That's kind of neat.
And if you're into fashion, I mean, the fashion designer Nicole Miller is actually coming from New York. Mary Doherty, that owns the Nicole Millers here in Philadelphia, has pulled some strings and is bringing this international fashion icon to Philly. So even if you're not into football, you can be into fashion, and it'll be.
I'd like to go meet Mr. Rabini.
Yeah, and Mr. Rabini, hey, he'll suit you up. Maybe help you deal with your socks.
Yeah, you never know.
You will be invited back very quickly.
Oh, okay.
You jumped on my bandwagon. That is fantastic.
Give us a photograph of the future of Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Absolutely.
Like what's on the horizon?
So another great question. We spent a lot of time thinking about the future, and over the last 100 years, we've probably helped over 120,000 children in the greater Philadelphia area. So for us, it's like, how can we stay financially sustainable and help 250,000 kids over the next 50 to 100 years? And so what we've done is we really started to focus on collaboration in our community. And so last year, in March of last year, we launched what was called a Mentoring Partnership and Resource Center, where we take the expertise that we've honed over the last 100 years and share that secret sauce, if you will. So we work with mom and pop, youth mentoring organizations, other nonprofit organizations, even larger mentoring organizations, and we help them with technical assistance, advocacy, data and research, and really try to expand the number of children that can be impacted, because in a given year, we can only really help, I'd say 3,800 to 4,000 children in a given year. And I mentioned to you, there's probably over 200,000 that are in need. So for us, the future is working with other nonprofits and trying to provide all the children who need a mentor with one in some capacity.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, there's a number of people we'll talk offline about that I would like to introduce you to, have been on the show. Eric Stein They have the programs in
Oh,
media,
sure. Oh,
things
absolutely.
like that.
yeah.
And another gentleman, Darryl Caston, who deals with kids
Darryl
through,
Caston, yeah,
through a
big
number
thing.
of programs
Sure.
where, hopefully,
Even Helene. Helene Rubin, and these people have.
they employ people.
They employ
and,
people, yeah.
I mean, it's really.
We'd love to talk to anyone who's interested.
Yeah.
I think a lot of would be interested.
I mean, we've shown, like, obviously, we have some issues with our school system. I don't think anyone can argue with that in the region that we live in, and some of those problems are longer, bigger problems that can't be solved immediately. But the thing that we've found is we have seen incredible results with the kids in our program. We're unable to change the financial situation of their home. We're unable to change the school that they're in, and yet we are watching these children excel. And the answer, or the question is, how is this possible? How are you taking kids in these neighborhoods, in these school districts, and still seeing them on this amazing path, like upwards? And that really goes back to the power of what a mentoring relationship can do for your life. So for us, we see these relationships as a real solution to very critical problems that we have in our region. And so, to Greg's point, it's vital for us to share that knowledge that we have. We want to get it out there, and even if it's not our organization that's helping that particular child, we want to make sure that we're lending that knowledge to whomever can help that child.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very generous. I mean, 100 years of sort of data and a formula. It's an important formula that the community should have. It's nice that you don't want to put a cap on that, like, hey, this is for us, and back off kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not trademarked. It's not trademarked.
It's for everybody.
We're also trying to get really innovative in terms of the type of kids we reach. So there are some very difficult populations to reach. And so a couple of programs we've started is working with kids who are in the juvenile justice system who've been arrested for really minor offenses, introducing them to a mentor, and it's amazing. Like, we started the program in Montgomery County with the chief public defender and the district attorney. So they'd identify kids who they thought qualified. We paired them up, and nearly all of them, like, none of them reoffended. So we know that it works. And now we're working with the Philadelphia public defender to try to serve kids who are victims of human trafficking, and we're just, that you talked about our future. That is also on the list.
Yeah, that's a pretty big, incredible thing that frightening that you hear about. It exists, and you think, how's something like that even possible in 2016, almost 2017? But yet it's there in a significant enough way where an organization like yours and many others are involved with it. It's incredible.
And for us, it's not just the number or the shocking statistic, it's that child. Now that you know that child exists, how can we address that pain? How can we give that child a platform for success after they've experienced something like that? And kind of just realizing that healing ability of the one-to-one, to have that adult that genuinely cares about you, and then the organization that builds the support system around that relationship to really help them get up and above where they've been.
Right. It sounds like one of the interesting parts that you sort of touched on in the beginning was that you have a family member calling and saying, hey, I need, so it almost seems like right from the start you have a group of people who are taking this significant interest in their child and saying, hey, look, I might not be able to do this all on my own, but I know they need this. Can you help? And so it sounds like even the foundation of people who are sort of passing through or initiating it are really kind of top notch if you think about it. So
aside from the kids in the juvenile situation, does there always have to be a parent or guardian referral, or do the referrals come from other places? How do you?
Yeah, usually it's a parent or guardian who refers or comes to the agency asking for help. We also get referrals from therapists or counselors, people who've worked with a family and may think that is the best option for them at the time. But yeah, it's mostly parents or guardians.
And I'm also interested in the organization itself. Independence Region. Now, are boys, are big brothers and big sisters? Is that a national, international, or is it just local?
No, it's national, and actually there are some international branches, but basically it's a national organization. We have a parent organization, if you will, that's based in Tampa, Florida, and across the country there's probably 304, I think is the number now, of affiliates just like us, big brothers, big sisters.
We are the third largest in the country.
We're the third largest in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the programs have been expanded to Israel, New Zealand, Australia. In fact, we had the CEO of Israel come visit us, and we're comparing notes on how they could expand in Tel Aviv and all these interesting places. So it's kind of taken on a life of its own. It's needed everywhere.
Yeah, there's distress among kids, and so this is a foundation for helping eliminate or at least minimize or shrink a little bit some of that stress. And it sounds like the formula works pretty well.
It's the one. Well, you said when you said that the kid needs to know that someone cares about him, her,
That's right.
and it's the one-on-one
Yeah.
caring
That is
that
the
is what makes it
critical
work.
component. It's the one-on-one. I think that there are lots of other scenarios where students might, be in a room with 25 other students, and somebody might come speak to them for an hour, and somebody might say that that's mentoring, but like our studies have proven that's not going to be as
And it's-
impactful.
Right.
As,
And you don't need to be, when you're
Yeah.
mentoring, you don't need to teach the kid how to weld.
Right.
You need
No.
to spend time with the kid.
Yeah.
Right.
All you need to do really is just listen to them.
Yeah.
If you just listen to them, that alone builds trust. And we've seen, there's hundreds of stories. It's incredible.
Do the kids come ready to participate? Like, with the guardian? No.
That's
always.
actually a good question.
Sometimes.
Now I'm curious.
Sometimes they're anxious for it. Don't get me wrong. Like they, but not always. Some of them are reluctant to do so, particularly with the juvenile justice system, and even their parents, maybe a little bit skeptical. But once they are introduced to it and they see that this person really cares about them, it becomes a transformation of thought in the child as well as the parents and guardians.
Yeah, and I think one of as we start to wrap up, a couple of important keys here is that the organization can provide lots of different avenues for you to be a mentor in terms of like things to do. So it's not like week in and week out somebody has to come to the table with, what do I do next to have this sort of impact on this person. There's lots of experience throughout the group to say, hey, look, we have lots of things that you could do. And you know what could be more simple than sitting on a park bench, listening to somebody talk? It's not that big a deal in terms of being creative in trying to figure out what to do next kind of thing. So there's some simple components to it that I think a volunteer, somebody who's going to mentor, doesn't need to worry so much about the prep time in terms of making this really successful.
Or
But one of the
creativity.
one of the beauties about the organization is we have staff members called match support specialists. So throughout the entire duration of your match, if you come across anything that might be difficult to deal with, whether it's police brutality that's going on right now, if there is social injustice, like everyone's kneeling for the anthem now, like how do you, as a mentor, discuss that with your mentee who is living that firsthand? And so there's someone there, and there's an expert there to help you answer those questions. So you're never on your own. You always have assistance.
It's a great program, and congratulations on 100+ years, and hopefully there'll be 100 more years. You have to say the websites again.
Yep, fashiontouchdown.org is the place to go for all the information on the latest event. Fashiontouchdown.org.
Don't you guys want to know who's going to be there?
Oh, are we allowed to ask?
We didn't.
I didn't think that. Yeah, quick. You have like 30 seconds.
Quick,
for
let's
that.
30
hear
seconds.
the-
Come on.
Go for
Okay.
Cole Miller.
Connor Barwin, Brent Selleck, Malcolm Jenkins, Brandon Brooks, Todd
Harriman,
Harriman.
The magician. You told me the magician.
Oh,
on
John
Sunday.
Dornbos
Yeah.
has done it last year. We're chatting with him right now,
There you go.
and more to be announced.
Okay, that's
Excellent.
great.
So I didn't think we were allowed to ask.
Yeah, all right, so fashiontouchdown.org. Everybody, thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out our past episodes, and we will see you on Main Street. Thanks, everybody.